Thank you for staying with us. Dalciana, do you think that women should revert the focus away from male-female roles and instead focus on management and policy-making, legislation? There seems to be, from the training session that you've attended. What's your opinion on that?
I don't think that question is going to generate a straightforward answer. Yeah. I think the way we've progressed to date, there's a basic assumption that men are going to take on leadership roles, or that they're going to make the decisions, or they're going to inform opinions, and there's going to be, predominantly the them and us scenario. And I think we regularly, because of women are accustomed to being relegated to a secondary role, we tend to assume that position going in. Mm-hmm. And that's not a criticism, it's an observation, and I think it's important as we are the first teachers of our children, mm-hmm. To remind within the family unit at the very beginning that there's, the importance of, a more level playing field. But, there's a flip side to that, and that is that if we ill-prepare our daughters for to be, and that's not to say we want to push them into a corner and suppress their rights, but it is to say that I think that there has to be a balance of some description preparing them. But, again, introducing into policy, the design, by design, policy is, if implemented and enforced correctly, is designed to influence behaviour and culture and regulate certain thinking and idea and actions. So I think there's very much a case in our society as we grow and evolve and change. There are many assumptions. There's a glass ceiling that will hopefully be broken in our lifetimes. But that remains to be seen. I'm excited that lots of, I get excited about catching a plane and seeing two girls come out of the cockpit and, in a uniform looking amazing. And, I've even been on an all-female flight, which is pretty impressive. So things are changing, and I think the more we move into these roles and the more we encourage our children and their peers and our husbands and our siblings, I think that the expectation starts to transition and we grow and change and progress as a society. But that can't be done on its own. That requires political will. That requires members of Parliament to be very serious about their roles, about policy making and enforcing and building institutions and capacity. Because we can talk about all sorts of things, but it requires certain mechanisms and resourcing of institutions so that our people can work inside certain parameters.
We have the news coming up shortly, but a quick one before we take the news on. Dalciana, the involvement of women in Parliament has been historical, though still small in numbers. Women have been taking part actively in political parties. The last election saw 3 women win under a political party. Do you think women are ready to assume leadership roles in political parties?
Yeah, I think women have been ready for a very long time. We just haven't been allowed to, progress and move into these spaces. Again, our culture and society, we mustn't, when we collapse it all down, we've got an adopted system of government that we're all vying for, and we all inhabit our cultural and traditional spaces. So, we're doing extremely well in my view. I think we're progressing along, and I only say that in relation to this transition between 2 very separate institutions, our governing system and our traditional institutions. So I think that at this day and age, I have to actually remind myself of the question again. I think I'm floating off into a different direction, but I really think that as time progresses, the economy affects the way things happen. So and our social conditions So as we've grown and we've now got a 14 or 16 billion kina economy, the impact on communities and families, and certainly on women, is being, there's a push and pull factor happening there. So to talk about men and women in isolation, I think is, inappropriate. We wind up being confused because it becomes clinically about rights.
Okay, Deltena, thank you so much. You're watching the live simulcast of Elections 2017. We'll be back after this break.